the fourth album from The Story So Far. It's called Proper Dose. They are an American pop punk band who kind of were part of the early 2010 or 2010s pop punk renaissance, if you will, along with like Neck Deep and the One Years and that kind of thing. And I was always they were always a band where I had heard of them, but I never really went into them. For I think, like with many people, I sort of fell out of love a bit with pop punk when it got a bit too all time low. And like I said, bands like Neck Deep, One of the Years, Story So Far, they sort of like started bringing it back and gave it a bit more legitimacy and made it a bit more listenable. After the last album, which I think yeah, it was self-titled last one, the Story So Far frontman, I can't remember his name. I remember just being very California. We'll call him Brandon. Uh, Brandon basically said he just had to step away. He went kind of recluse, excuse me. And yeah, I think it was down to like I feel bad if this isn't right, but I feel like I have read this. I think it was down to like pressure being in the band, substance abuse, X, Y, Z. I think it is now that I say that out loud. It is more substance abuse based on like the lyrics of the song, which I'll talk to in a bit. I should read my notes before I do this. And yes, this is good. It's a mild comeback album for Story So Far, and it's nice to have a pop punk album, an out and out pop punk album that doesn't sound like the audio equivalent of Angel Delight. There's a lot of edge to it. You can see where the quote unquote mainstream outlets will like this, as well as all like the more straightforward punk outlets will like this. It's super catchy, really, really like parts of the song are quite earwormy. At least as I was writing this, at least for the first half, because it kind of like does sort of like split away from itself towards the end, which we'll get to. And in my opinion, which is not something I say a lot, my favorite favorite parts of this album are the ballads, which pop punk ballads are notoriously known for being utter tripe. But Take Me As You Please is a really haunting, like he's got a really cool like haunting echo on his vocals. Yeah, if you take away the like what he's actually singing about, just like the vocal execution and the actual music playing, it sounds like a campfire song where everyone's roasting marshmallows and it's all a bit lovey-dovey and happy and it's kind of disgusting. But it's a really, really fun song for a ballad. Same with Upside Down. It's a really floaty, really chilled, laid-back folk rock song. And the song, If I Fall, sort of blends that like acoustic balladry, which, again, not usually what you go for in a pop punk album, with the more traditional upbeat sort of stuff to sort of like a mix of the two ends, I guess. So yeah, the first half of the album, really, really interesting. Really, really like pop punk. Keep This Up is a very like clean, very positive sounding pop punk song. But whereas everything is like musically quite upbeat, quite happy sounding, so fucking dreadfully dreary, and it is all about why he did take that time away, all about that self-medication, and it's got some really good like vocal lines to it. So you got the song Out of It, where it's got I fucking love this lyric. My appropriate opiate. Oh fuck. How does he sing this? My appropriate opiate has me out of it. That was really hard. This is the first time I've tried to say that. Fucking nerd. And the title track, Proper Dose, I defy the proper dose because I'm alone and I don't care. Which is just. Oh, it's dark, isn't it? It's just not a fun time. But that's kind of what pop punk's all about, is it? Like, I hate my friends. I want to move away from my hometown because it's boring. But mind you, let's all hang out and eat pizza around my house. Kind of thing. And then when you get to, I think it was like track 6, tracks 5, it vastly becomes a much more alternative rock-esque album. You've got a song like Line, which is full of electronics and quite laid back and chilled. Growing on You, is like a floaty synth-backed ballad, which isn't as great as the other ones. and yeah, it sort of like deteriorates away and becomes more of the kind of alt rock sort of thing that a lot of other pop punk bands have done, and it is super dangerous territory. So you've got bands like Paramore and to some extent One of the Years who have done that, who were like a pop punk band who decided to like start moving away and becoming more of like an alt rock sort of radio friendly band. And then you got All Time Low, which managed to do it for an audience, do it quite well. For me, I don't like it at all. Good Charlotte did it for a bit on Cardiology, and it fucking bombed. And then you got Fall Out Boy, which can fucking fuck off. It is. It has been done, but it's every time they do it, it's always a case of, um, but it's Marmite music. So One of these is a really good example. One of the podcasts that I listen to is hosted by a couple of guys. One person said the Sister Cities by One of the Years, because it is a lot more of an emo album as opposed to a pop punk. He said it was the most disappointing album of 2018 for him, whereas one of his co-hosts said it was in his top 20 for albums of the year because it was so good. It's very much, and my opinions on Fall Out Boy are not hidden. So yeah, it's dangerous territory, and I think what they did, the final song, Light Years, sort of blends the alt rock of the second half and the pop punk of the first half, and what sort of brought them here, and sort of like combine it together to try. It doesn't feel like they're trying to cover all bases, but it's kind of what it looks like. And yeah, it's just for that kind of like style of music. It is you are always going to split your audience, and it's not the worst I've ever heard. I'm a sucker for One of the Years, so I wouldn't even say it's the best one I've ever heard, but it's still a very interesting album. Like I said, for whatever reason, I really, really enjoy the ballads of the song, and out of it, yeah, that appropriate line is fucking great. I think if you are a fan of Paramore and what they did, going from like pop punk into more like, I wouldn't go as far as to say After Laughter. The album, the self-titled, I don't think there was one in between self-titled and After Laughter, but yeah, I think if you really enjoyed Paramore's self-titled album, I think you really go for this, because it is that like fine line, or like you can see where they are starting to bridge that gap between what they've done before and what After Laughter end up becoming. Same again for Blink 182. If people were a big fan of Neighborhoods, which I think a lot of people like me, they were fans when it first came out, and then when they sounded a bit more, and then eventually when California came out, it was a case of it's not as good, and it's not as good as I thought. Tom DeLonge is a bit of a nutcase, and a more modern comparison is Forever Came Calling, which is a really good pop punk band who are so on the line between the All Time Low and the OG Story So Far sound. It is unreal, but yeah. Blink-182, Paramore, Forever Came Calling. That was Proper Dose by The Story So Far.